I was going through my emails, as I do regularly, as you can imagine, so many emails coming in, people telling you stuff, and somebody told me about a consultation that our government is looking at the moment. And this is about campsites and camping. Apparently, there's something like you can have a field and you can allow people to stay on that field for 29 days in a year before you have to have a special license or something. Anyway, apparently they're going to extend that to 60 days, which sounds very nice, particularly somebody like me who's got a camper van. Except that will only now limit people to having people with tents and not camper vans or mobile homes. So in other words, although you've got an extended period to have people on your land, the consultation is looking at basically getting rid of caravans and camper vans completely, because of course they don't want cars. Then I also watched a video that somebody sent me with this lovely lady, young lady, who was rather concerned because she had noticed that mysterious men in vans were turning up at roadsides, opening up manhole covers and putting some very strange devices into them. They didn't seem to be branded by any known company. The company that she did see, she said it doesn't, you can't find out who they are. And when she looked in the manhole, there was some very unusual devices. At first she thought they might be some bombs for a false flag event, because they were situated right next to gas mains, which sounds all very suspicious. Or looking at the picture, maybe it's something to do with the new 5G network that's coming in. Either way, it just looked very suspicious. But it made me think, blimey, we're all looking around, looking into shadows and seeing something there. Maybe there is something there and maybe there isn't. And I suddenly started to think, my God, we are in the age of the conspiracy, aren't we? And that made me think, blimey, there's so many conspiracies out there. What could I think of that has been told to us that may be true or may be false? And I made a bit of a list. So I thought, as a bit of a game on a Sunday, as we're doing this, let's see what's true and what's not true. Now, I have no idea. So you might have an idea and you can put them into the comments below, and it'd be fascinating to read what you think. So let's start with the number one, of course. Is the earth flat? Now, there's a lot of flat earthers out there who are absolutely convinced that if you get a spirit level here and you look through a thalidomide there, you should be able to see the curvature of the earth, but you can't. You can see buildings that shouldn't be where they are and all of that. And I had an email actually from somebody who said, are you ready for a flat earther on your channel? And he said, look, you know, I've got all this information about it and I want to spread it over to you. And he said, if the earth is flat, imagine it's all like this and Antarctica is all the way around the rim like this. And he said, but what if you pull out from there and there is another sea on the other side of the Antarctica? And what if there are continents where people live there and actually there's more and more? Is it a piece of paper that's flat like this, the flat earth? Is it just a great big lump? How come there are other spheres in the sky? Loads of questions that you and I might ask. But is it a conspiracy? I don't know. Let me know. What about JFK, John Fitzgerald Kennedy, shot in 1963? We know that happened, or at least we think we do. Some people were there and witnessed it, but was it done by somebody else, or was it done by the American government? That's the conspiracy. Is it, you know, perhaps more than I do? What about the moon landings? Did that really happen? Did they spend all that money, all that time? Did they convince everybody that we landed on the moon just so that we could land, or at least the Americans could land before the Russians got there? Or was it all set up? Was it all set up with false this and false the other? I don't know. I'm not clever enough to work it out. But these are some of the conspiracies that have been put forward. And maybe it is a conspiracy, maybe it's not. Like, of course, the 9/11. In which aeroplanes hit the Twin Towers and blew them. Amazingly, how aeroplanes can knock these two Twin Towers, which does get you thinking, how is it possible if the aeroplanes hit the top of the building, the rest of the building would just collapse willy-nilly like that in such an amazing way? And also a building completely unassociated it with will collapse straight down into its own footprint, or in fact that an aeroplane can crash into the Pentagon and leave absolutely no reference to it whatsoever. It's very odd. But was it just an inside job by the government, the American government, to sort of confuse us and have another false flag so that we could go to war? Or was it something that really happened? Who knows? And of course, the very big question we need to ask ourselves in the conspiracy world is Elvis still alive? Is he living up there on the moon with Hitler? Is Hitler still alive? That's another one. And Michael Jackson, they say that is still alive. And did Humpty Dumpty really fall off the wall and smash into a million pieces, where the horses and the king's horses and all the men men couldn't put him back together again. We don't really know. However, bird flu, we've heard about that. Bird flu, birds do seem to get ill, don't they? Although you never see the corpses of birds on the floor, very rarely. Isn't it strange? And yet there's millions. There's more birds on this planet than humans. And yet it's so rare to see any corpses of the birds. Where do they disappear to? But will they get flu, and will it cause a pandemic? Can it somehow transmit to other animals and even ticks, so that going into the countryside is going to be a bit of a no-no? Don't go there, for God's sake. Stay in your little city where you will be encamped, where we can't let you ever go into the countryside. So that's another one. Is that going to be a pandemic? Is that a conspiracy? Who knows? What about that vaccine that we had recently that apparently some people say has been causing people some harm, blood clots and things like that, or they just dropped down dead all of a sudden without any sort of notice? Is that really a conspiracy, just something that's been dreamed up by nut jobs, or because the government don't seem to acknowledge it, MPs won't talk about it, it's all safe and effective, of course, the BBC won't reference it or anything like that, but go online and talk to other people who are supposedly experts? I don't know. Maybe it is just a conspiracy. Maybe it's all rubbish. Be interested in your comments on that, of course. What about the bugs that are going in the food? Oh, we've been told now that they're going to sort of crush up insects, all sorts of insects, mealworms and that sort of thing. And apparently in the Netherlands, you know, they've got rid of the farmers now. We don't want any farming going on. All we want is bug production and these massive, great big I can't remember what they're called now, tricorn cities or some sort of try something city. Try it out for yourself if you like. Have a big city in a land that's actually at below sea level. Sounds a sensible idea to me. Are bugs going to be put into the foods? Is it already happening? Are they there? Is it nice? Is it tasty? Is it healthy? Apparently it's supposed to be healthy, but maybe that too is a conspiracy theory. I don't know. Look up into the sky. Chemtrails everywhere. Are they chemtrails or are they contrails? Or is it a con that the trails are anything? Are the skies being filled with aluminium or aluminium, whatever these heavy metals or lightweight metals, whichever metals that get into the blood and affect the brain? Is that really something that's happening, or is that just another big myth? There's some people who say it's all a load of old rubbish, and other people say, well, actually, I've written some books on it and I've just studied it and I've looked into the air quality and I've seen that maybe it is something. So who knows? Is that another complete conspiracy theory? We are in the age of conspiracy theories, and we all like a good old conspiracy, don't we? What about Diana, Princess Diana's death? Was she really just in an accident rushing away from the journalists in, I think it was 1997. All I know is it disrupted my television series at the time, children's television series, in which we had to have a missing week because everyone was talking about this terrible event that had happened. Or was it that she was actually bumped off on the side? Is that a conspiracy, or did that really happen? I'll let you be the judge of that. 5G. 5G, is this 5G thing really a sort of microwave on a stick that's going to be outside everybody's homes? Is it there really so that we can get films downloaded incredibly quick, so we can sit in front of these massive great big screens and dumb ourselves down? Or is it more that it can keep us inside and control us and fry our brains? I don't know. Be interested to hear what you think about that. Is it a conspiracy? 15-minute cities. We keep hearing this term now, 15-minute cities. Is that just a load of old nonsense? Is it really not just that they want to lower the traffic and stop people going in their cars or going across the country, or even having motorhomes and caravans on websites, or not on websites, on campsites? It'd be difficult to get one on a website, I grant you, but you do see pictures on websites of campervans, so maybe that is a thing. But is 15 minutes a restriction thing with cameras and things taking your license plate? Is that really going to happen? What do you think? I would be interested in your thoughts on this. Maybe we're just in the age of conspiracy and it's all a load of old rubbish and we should forget all of it. Net zero, is that really a thing? We have heard that from the government, mind you, so maybe it is, in which they want to get no carbon whatsoever. But if you get rid of carbon, is it true then that all life will just disappear? Maybe we are the carbon they want to get rid of. Or is that yet again another conspiracy theory that's just complete load of old nonsense, based on the fact that there is this thing that we now, because the science is settled, of course, of global warming. The planet is warming up, assuming it is a planet and not just a plane, you know, a flat earth or whatever, because I wonder if it's a flat earth, can it possibly warm up in the same way that, anyway, it doesn't really matter. The fact is that there is this rumour, is there not, that the government's peddling that the planet is warming up because it's all our fault. It's always our fault, isn't it? It's always our fault. What have we done again? Oh, blimey, look at that. Went out, put my toaster on, that's warmed up the planet. Put my hairdryer on, it's warmed up the planet. Been using too many carbons, don't you know? Is it a myth? Maybe it is. Maybe it's just a load of old nonsense. I think it might be a load of old nonsense, but I want to know what you think. Mind you, the global warming, of course, that could possibly lead to the melting of the ice caps, yes, and then we'll have the tilt of the earth. That's the other thing that people are talking about. Oh, the earth is going to tilt and there's going to be another catastrophe, and when the poles shift it's going to be terrible. Or we'll be plunged into another ice age, or we'll be plunged into another burning age, depending on where you are on the sphere. Assuming it is a sphere, it might actually just be a flat plane, who knows. And what's underneath? Are other people also underneath that and thinking the same? What's on the other side? Could be. Could be like that, could be taken on holiday, nudge, nudge, wink, wink, you never know. What about these CMEs? These are another interesting things, the coronal mass ejection. You've got to be careful how you say that, just in case you get it wrong. And that's where the solar flares and the magnetic forces from the sun, our nearest star, is going to whoop, wipe us all out. Apparently, it happened in the 1858, I think it was, something like that, the Carrington event, where it knocked out the grid and all that. Well, they didn't have a grid, actually, so it didn't knock that out. But if it happened now, it would knock out our computers, our mobile phones, our banking systems, our water, our food production, everything. We would be back going into the cavemen era, because we'd have to suffer right from the start with candles and wood-burning stoves. I wouldn't mind that myself personally. I like candles and wood-burning stoves. But a lot of people aren't prepared like that, because obviously the government wants to get rid of the wood-burning stoves because of the old global warming. But that's is that another conspiracy? Because it seems to be that could be a conspiracy just to make us all frightened again. Digital IDs. Oh my goodness, we've heard about this, have we not? They've done a consultation. It's not come out yet. I think the system is all operational. I think it's coming in October. It is, of course, going to be voluntary until the next parliament, in which we get the next government comes in after the election, in which you can bet your bottom dollar it will be mandatory to have a code, some sort of number in which you can only access the government through that number in no other way. You don't have to get your passport out and all those sort of things. But will you be able to access the internet unless you use your digital ID? You may not be able to access anything digital, which means that you might not be able to access your banks. Oh, blimey. So is that a conspiracy? Is it all a bit overloaded? Is it really there for our convenience? Is it really very nice and safe? Who knows? You never know. Mind you, if it is, we get into that digital realm of things like the central bank digital currencies. Not heard of that? Where the central bank now is going to have a digital currency, all our cash and all our savings are going to be magically put into this new currency, and there's nothing you can do about it, apparently. Nothing you can do about it. You could write to your banks and say, oi, do you know what? I don't want you to convert my money into that. And they'll say, well, it's beyond our control. I'm afraid we're all puppets being held by strings by our masters above us. So maybe that is all a conspiracy. Maybe it won't happen that we go to digital currency. Maybe we will. Maybe it won't have some sort of social credit that if you put the wrong thing on Facebook, then suddenly you'll have your money evaporated away. You won't be able to buy anything. Or if you want to travel a bit further than they like you to travel, it's all part of the master plan, apparently, according to Stanley Johnson. Yes, it's all part of the plan, but you won't be able to travel as much as you like because they'll control you with the social credits connected to your central bank digital currency. But maybe that's just a conspiracy theory. Maybe that's a load of nonsense. You let me know in the comments. I'll be interested to know. Oh, Bitcoin. Here we go. And the cryptocurrency, which is all very cryptic to me. Is it the savior of everything? Is it the thing that the WEF and the WHO and all the bankers and what have you can't control because it's something on the blockchain, which sounds like something to do with your pipes in the lavatory? Is that what it is? Is Bitcoin the savior? And yet there's BTC, which is either good or it's bad. And then there's BSV, Bitcoin, which is either good and it's bad. And no matter who you talk to, they'll tell you the other one is the good one or the other one is a bad one, or maybe one of them is a shill. There's a word I didn't really know until I started talking about the conspiracy theories. Yes, maybe it's a conspiracy theory, but maybe you won't even be able to get to your Bitcoin if you've got a digital ID and you can't get on the internet. So maybe that's a complete load of waste of time anyway. I don't know. Answers in the comments. Be interested to hear what you think. Biometrics. Are the supermarkets and everywhere you go recording your image so that you can be identified wherever you happen to go and be tracked and traced by some big central computer? Every time you buy some vegetables, they'll know. Will that be linked to your central bank digital currency so they know where you are and what you're about to buy at any one time and then be able to control it? Will that really happen? Is that a big conspiracy? You tell me. And will we have the end of cash? Cash, of course, is king. I was sent a whole load of buttons. I was supposed to be wearing one. I completely forgot. Sorry about that, Brian. But will we see the end of cash? Will that be completely disappeared? Or will we revolt against the central bank digital currency and come up with something else based on, I don't know, a precious metal of some description? Or, of course, will it be some very rare, I don't know, seashells on the seashore? She sells seashells on the seashore. I wonder if that was that being told that we should pay attention to the seashells on the seashore that she sold. Or maybe it should be Peter Piper who picked a peck of pickled pepper and he never picked anything else, poor bugger. What else have we got on here? Court systems, yes, couldn't read my own writing. The court systems, are the court systems against us, you know, in which you have to get jurisdiction? Are they there just to penalise us and earn money again for the bankers through the Bar Guild? Is it all part of canon law in which it's actually written there, written ages and ages and years ago by the Vatican, that basically they're the only rules that you're allowed to have, but actually they're there to be to fleece you about all to do with admiralty law and maritime law and all of that, so that court system is actually skewed against you with the 12 presumptions, and if you don't rebut them, then you're in big trouble. If you're not the executor of your own trust, you know, the trust that's been set up when you were born, your parents had you registered, you gave away the title to the little baby that they had, and now it's been owned by the state, and that was turned into a bond and floated on the stock market and is making the government and the bankers loads and loads of cash, but you don't know about it and you can't access the trust because you don't know actually you're the executor, the settler or the grantor of the trust in actual fact, and that you could grab that money or at least the interest of that money or whatever it is, and it's worth billions, but you can't have it because you have been surreptitiously taken advantage of, and you don't know the jurisdiction when you get into a court. Is that all a big conspiracy? Is that a complete myth? Is that a load of old nonsense? Maybe it is. Or what about King Charles? Is he really the king or is he the Antichrist? That's another of these things that are going round. Have the MPs actually sworn allegiance to King Charles III, or did they just swear allegiance to King Charles I? Just King Charles, you know, the one that lost his head. It's a very unfortunate name, really, for a king, is it not? But anyway, is he the Antichrist? Is he actually being pulled the strings off? What will he say on May the 6th? Will it be a good oath or a bad oath, or will we never really hear? And what's going to happen on May the 6th? May the 6th is coming up and he's going to be coronated, hopefully in some sort of like lemon drizzle fluid or whatever it is, probably anointed with some spiritual gum, who knows. But anyway, once that's happened and everyone's joyous, we've got a new king and he's got the crown, not that he owns the crown or the crown estate or any of those things, but anyway, that doesn't matter, and maybe that's a conspiracy theory as well. But as soon as that happens, is it likely that all of a sudden we're going to find that we're plunged into some terrible disaster, another false flag going to happen immediately after that's a prediction that I personally have, that after May the 6th, the king is crowned, there is going to be something disastrous. We'll all be up on a high and something rather dreadful is going to happen immediately after the coronation. I may be wrong. Maybe it's a conspiracy theory, like all of these things. Are they conspiracies? It is the age, is it not, of the conspiracy theory, where there is so much lies and untruths, truths and fakery. What is going on? What is happening in this world? Have I made all of this up? And are you quite content to sort of just think, well, it's all a load of old rubbish. I'm just going to go down the pub and have a packet of crisps and a pint of something and not worry about the processed food that's killing us and on all of that. I'll be interested in your comments. There's a lot of conspiracies and I dare say I've missed a whole load. So add the rest in there and we can maybe ruffle about a little bit and see which is true and which isn't true. And oh, I don't know, maybe we just got to pull lottery out the hats and go, this one's true and that one's fake, and it doesn't really matter at the end of the day, or does it?